Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Trouble Call Thursday. This is the time of year when we're putting that seed in the ground. And once you get that seed in the ground, good old Mother Nature can have its way with your seed sometimes if it wants to. In fact, anytime it wants to. So sometimes we end up having some issues out there that weren't our fault, but were the fault of the thousand variables that come along every single year. So are you prepared to handle those issues when a farmer has a problem? Hopefully you don't get many of those kinds of calls throughout the year, but we always get some. The problem is we probably don't get enough, and this is going to sound kind of funny, we don't get enough to stay in practice. So once a year we go out and make these trouble calls like this, and we forget what we did last year, or maybe forgot that we even had a plan. So the idea is, as we're putting that seed in the ground now, knowing that things can happen, cold weather can move in, crusting can happen, cold rains, whatever happens, could affect that seed's ability to emerge out of the ground. Or insects can come along, wind, hail, we don't know what it is. Are you prepared for those kind of issues? The question is, do you have a trouble call plan? Do you have a plan laid out in how you most of the time handle these kinds of calls? A lot of people don't have a plan. So they go out there and they treat one call different than the other, or they stutter around trying to figure out what they should do with the grower and how to handle the process. You have to have a plan ahead of time. And what the plan does is allows you to practice trouble calls in advance. One of the things I'm most fond of and had the most fun with is running mock drills. And you run these in the off season when you don't have you can run them any time, but I love to run them in the off season. You actually simulate a problem. You make the problem up and you have your salespeople manage it. How are you going to address this issue? What happens if this happens to a customer? You can have all kinds of mock drills, from contamination in a seed bag to poor stands to damage at planting time to harvest issues, all kinds of drills. Those allow you to practice before they occur. So this Trouble Call Thursday is going to ask you, what is your plan? Have you laid out different scenarios that in case they come up, you know how to handle them? Do you have a plan to handle those issues? Now, most of the time, unless we did something on purpose that was negative, which we don't do, obviously, most of the time these aren't your fault. But most of the time the farmer does think that they're your fault or the fault of the seed. So you have to be able to handle that issue when that comes up also. So make sure you got a trouble call plan put together, how to handle each particular situation you might run into, because you've had those issues listed, laid out, and probably practiced prior to getting any kind of call like that. So have fun with it. Put a plan together and utilize it. Happy selling. I'm Rod Ostis.